The buzz around the Pittsburgh Steelers quarterback situation this offseason has been relentless, especially after that report surfaced claiming Aaron Rodgers was actually the team's third option. Yep, third. Not first, not second, but third on their list heading into the offseason. That narrative alone has sparked a lot of conversation, most of it pretty misguided. The idea that Pittsburgh simply settled for a 41-year-old veteran because they couldn't land their top picks has taken on a life of its own, but let's set the record straight here. That storyline is not just misleading, it's flat out wrong. Let's start at the top with the supposed first option, Matthew Stafford. Now, that might sound legit on the surface. After all, Stafford is a Super Bowl champion and one of the most respected arms in the league. But here's the deal. He was never really available. From the moment the Steelers reached out to his camp and to the Rams, it became clear Stafford wasn't going anywhere. He was staying put in Los Angeles. So, yeah, maybe he was an ideal target in a fantasy scenario, but in reality, not an actual option. Saying Stafford was Pittsburgh's plan A is like saying the team wanted Josh Allen or Patrick Mahomes. Sure, who wouldn't? But if there's zero chance of acquiring the guy, can we really call that a real option? Of course not. That brings us to Justin Fields, who's at the heart of the settled for Rodgers narrative. According to the reports, he was the second quarterback the Steelers looked at this offseason, and the one they even made an official offer to before Rodgers. Sounds like they preferred him, right? Not exactly. The timing of the offer had more to do with NFL rules than with preference. See, Fields was already a free agent, which meant Pittsburgh could negotiate with him right away. Rodgers, on the other hand, was still under contract, so the Steelers had to wait until the new league year to start any talks. That's why Fields got the first offer, not because he was the top choice, but because he was available earlier. Now, what was that offer? Pittsburgh put a 2-year, $30 million deal on the table for Fields. $15 million per season. That's backup money in today's NFL, not franchise quarterback money. That's around the same level that a player like Daniel Jones is making as a backup in Indianapolis. So let's be honest here. The Steelers weren't rolling out the red carpet. They weren't saying, you're the guy, here's the job. No competition. Quite the opposite, in fact. Fields would have had to earn that starting spot. The plan was always to bring in another veteran quarterback and have the two of them battle it out in training camp. And that tells you everything you need to know about how Pittsburgh really felt about Justin Fields. They liked him. Sure, but they didn't believe in him enough to just hand him the keys. So when the New York Jets came along and offered Fields not just more money, but a guaranteed starting role, it was a no-brainer for him. No competition, no prove-it contract, just a real opportunity to start fresh and be the guy. And the Steelers, they didn't even bother countering. They weren't willing to commit to him as their starter, and they weren't willing to pay more. That's not what a team does when it truly wants a player. And that's why when free agency really kicked off, the Steelers were all in on Aaron Rodgers. Let's pause for a second and think about that. If the Steelers truly believed that Fields was their quarterback of the future, they would have stepped up. They would have matched the Jets' offer or at least sweetened their own deal. But they didn't. And why? Because they had their eyes on someone else. Someone they believed could come in, elevate the offense, and make a real run at a championship. Aaron Rodgers. No, now, you might be thinking, but didn't they offer Fields a contract first? Yes, but again, that was about timing, not priority. If anything, the structure of the offer to Fields tells you just how uncommitted Pittsburgh was. A short-term deal, backup money, and the promise of a camp competition. That's not how you treat your plan A. That's how you treat someone you're interested in, if nothing better comes along. And Aaron Rodgers, he was always the better option in Pittsburgh's eyes. Let's talk about Rodgers for a minute. There's this misconception that he was some kind of consolation prize, but that couldn't be further from the truth. Rodgers brings instant credibility to any locker room. He's got a resume packed with playoff wins, MVP awards, and experience. He's been through every situation imaginable on the football field. And in a locker room full of young talent, having a guy like that lead in the offense, that's a game changer. The Steelers saw an opportunity, not a fallback. And it's not just about experience. The deal Pittsburgh got for Rodgers was a steal. They're paying him less this season than the Jets are paying Justin Fields. That's wild. For a quarterback of Rodgers' caliber who still looks sharp and mobile, that's incredible value. If anything, the Steelers pulled off one of the biggest coups of the offseason. They didn't settle, they capitalized. And here's the kicker. It's entirely possible the Steelers would have signed both Rodgers and Fields if the money had worked out. There's a version of this offseason where Fields accepts that backup level offer, competes for the job, and still learns under one of the greatest to ever play the position. That scenario would have been a win for all parties. Fields gets to develop, Rodgers gets a quality backup, and the Steelers have depth. But Fields wanted the starting job now. Pittsburgh wasn't ready to give it to him. End of story. Meanwhile, Rodgers walks into a situation tailor-made for success. A top-tier defense, a revamped offensive line, a commitment from Mike Tomlin, and the front office. No quarterback competition. The job is his, period. That wasn't on the table for Fields, and it never was. So if anyone out there is still clinging to the idea that the Steelers preferred Fields over Rodgers, it's time to let that go. The organization made its decision loud and clear the moment free agency began. Rodgers was the guy. And think about what that says about where the Steelers are as a franchise. They're in win-now mode. They're not looking to develop a quarterback. For 3 or 4 years down the line, they want to compete right now. And in that context, Rodgers makes perfect sense. Fields might have more long-term upside, sure. But Rodgers gives you a real shot at making noise in the playoffs this season. And with the weapons Pittsburgh has assembled, especially the defense, that's the kind of leader you need. Let's not ignore the financial side of this either. The Steelers managed to secure Rodgers on a deal that works within their cap structure. They didn't break the bank. They didn't mortgage the future. They got a Hall of Fame caliber quarterback at a team-friendly price. That's smart roster building. That's front office savvy. That's not desperation. So as we head into the next phase of the offseason, the picture is clear. The Steelers weren't scrambling. They weren't begging for scraps after missing out on Stafford or Fields. They had a plan. They executed it. And they ended up with a quarterback who not only wants to be in Pittsburgh, but who gives them their best shot at a deep playoff run in years. And that's not all. The vibes coming out of minicamp have been electric. Rodgers has looked sharp, mobile, and locked in. His footwork in the pocket, that signature quick release, and his chemistry with the receivers are already starting to show. This isn't a guy riding off into the sunset. This is a quarterback with something to prove and a chip on his shoulder. And you better believe the rest of the roster feels that energy. So no, the Steelers didn't settle for Aaron Rodgers. They made a calculated strategic decision to go after the best quarterback available who actually fit their timeline, their needs, and their financial structure. And everything that's happened since only reinforces that it was the right move. Justin Fields got what he wanted. An open starting job and a new opportunity. The Jets get a potential franchise QB to build around. But the Steelers? They got the quarterback they wanted all along. Now that Rodgers is locked in and commanding the offense, the Steelers can finally start building the kind of chemistry that championship teams thrive on. That starts with minicamp, and by all accounts, it ended on a high note. Rodgers not only looked healthy, especially in his lateral movement drills and pocket footwork, but he also showed off that classic flick of the wrist release that's defined his career. You can already sense the impact he's having on the entire offense. From the veterans to the rookies, everyone is feeding off his presence. The reports out of Pittsburgh say the team is buzzing, the atmosphere is energized, and Rodgers is taking ownership as the leader. But before we dive in, don't forget to subscribe to Steelers Nation Central and hit the like button on this video. Your support helps us keep bringing you the latest updates on the Pittsburgh Steelers, and don't forget to share your thoughts on the news in the comments below. A surprising rumor has been making waves in the NFL community after a leaked recording surfaced, allegedly featuring Aaron Rodgers expressing his disappointment with the Pittsburgh Steelers roster. While nothing official has been confirmed, the buzz is growing rapidly among fans and analysts alike, raising questions about the quarterback's true feelings and the future of the Steelers lineup. According to the clip, Rodgers, known for his candid nature and high standards, reportedly voiced frustration over what he perceives as a lack of quality and depth within the Steelers squad. The conversation, believed to have been recorded in a private setting, hints at Rodgers' doubts regarding the team's ability to compete at the highest level without significant improvements. This revelation comes at a time when the Steelers have been striving to rebuild and reclaim their status as one of the NFL's dominant franchises. The leak has sparked intense debate across social media platforms, with many speculating about the potential impact on team morale and locker room dynamics. Some insiders suggest that Rodgers' remarks could be a strategic move, aimed at pushing the Steelers management into making bold moves in the upcoming transfer window. Others wonder if this signals a deeper rift between the quarterback's expectations and the current state of the team. Historically, Rodgers has been outspoken about the importance of having a well-rounded and competitive roster, and his rumored comments appear to reinforce his commitment to excellence. The Steelers, meanwhile, have faced criticism over inconsistent performances and questionable personnel decisions in recent seasons, which might lend some credence to the quarterback's alleged discontent. As the rumor mill churns, fans are left wondering whether this leaked critique will prompt a shift in the Steelers' strategy, or if it will blow over as just another episode of off-field chatter. Regardless, the intrigue surrounding Rodgers' comments adds another layer of drama to an already tense NFL landscape, where every word and whisper can ripple through a team's future. For now, the Steelers organization has remained tight-lipped, neither confirming nor denying the contents of the leak. Meanwhile, Aaron Rodgers continues to be a pivotal figure in the league, with many watching closely to see how this rumored dissatisfaction might influence his next moves and the trajectory of the Steelers season. Whether this is a glimpse into an internal struggle or merely speculative noise, one thing is certain: the conversation around the Steelers roster quality just got a lot louder. That's it for this update. If you enjoyed the video and want to keep receiving exclusive news about the Pittsburgh Steelers, make sure to subscribe to Steelers Nation Central and give this video a like. We always look forward to hearing your comments and opinions. See you in the next video.